Absolutely. And so something that we do to gather information and again get a sense of what's happening in schools across the country, and listening to parents and communities, is we have our tip line, right? So parents can directly contact us and then tell us what's happening, right? Anonymously, because oftentimes parents don't want their name attached into looking at something happening in their schools, unfortunately, right? This is where we're at right now. So fortunately, parents pending education is there to be that forum to again expose some of the stuff, look into it, right, bring national attention to it. And so one of the things that we found was in Boston public schools is that we found a violation of discrimination based on race. So some of the things that we found and that we provided in the complaint was evidence of essentially training for teachers. And I'm just going to read off some of the titles here of the different programs were, quote, white school leaders, affinity group committed to racism, right? That was one of them. Second other curriculum was Mendel Affinity Group for white people challenging racism. And then another training manual, right, that again went along with all of this was BPS staff affinity groups, guidelines, and best practices. So again, what we found is that these are groups that are and training that are just based on race. It's just focused on white administrators, white teachers, which is wrong, right? It's a violation of civil rights. And so when we see that at PD, we put it in a complaint. Absolutely. And we've seen it really in states across, happening in states across the country. I'm sure there's no surprise it's happening in California. You have instances in North Carolina as well. And so it's these sorts of programs that I think sort out as well intentions. But the minute that you exclude a certain student or teacher solely based on race, that is absolutely wrong. It should not be happening. These are taxpayer funded institutions, and it should be open to everyone that is able to either use at school or again, teachers and staff that work at that school. So I think it's going to continue to get national attention every time this happens. We're going to do our part to make sure that parents across the community are paying attention, and if they see it in their own communities, I think that they know, hopefully have the ability to speak up and make sure that others are aware as well. Absolutely, I think personal political perspectives of these individuals who run these school districts, run these schools. I think that is absolutely playing a part here, right? I think it is folks who have a certain kind of perspective on the country, and that is how they want to manage their schools, regardless of what the law says. And obviously the right path forward here, right? The right legal path forward is that if there is a program at school, if there is a curriculum at school, if there's tutoring programs, anything that happens on a taxpayer funded, federally funded academic institution, classroom, school, it needs to be open to all students, all teachers, all staff, regardless of race, right? There's no gray area. It should not be ambiguous. And so I think when you see school districts, as you mentioned, trying to get around this or still do it or defy what the guidelines and the law says, I think it's really just personal perspectives, political opinions that are at play here. I think there's anything that we saw last week as a result of the election is that parents and people are just generally fed up with this, right? This identity politics mindset. And so I think, I think it is awakening, and I hope that school districts heard the message that were sent. I think it is a new day in America on all accounts, especially when it comes on education. I think that there's certainly a mandate when you take into account that the majority of parents voted for the Republican tickets. So they are ready for change in America. They're ready for an education system that does not prioritize DEI and gender ideology over merit and academics and learning. And so I think parents are looking forward to the education being focused right where it needs to be, which is in helping children and students reach their full potential. And a big priority that I'm sure is going to happen as soon as this president is sworn in is making sure that females are supported and protected, right? That they're, when it comes to their locker rooms, their spaces, their sports teams, that they're able to have access to those spaces without worrying about males either entering, sharing access with them, or and trying to get onto their sports team. So that's all good news for parents. This is an issue that is overwhelming. I think it's like an 80-20 issue. So no question that there's something that the Trump admin is going to change. And so that's certainly exciting.